Hello, CIPS students, and welcome. In this explainer, we are going to dive deep into the core concepts of global commercial strategy. Our goal? To give you the tools and the confidence to absolutely ace your L6M2 exam, focusing squarely on learning outcome 1.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to follow the journey a strategist takes, starting with the absolute basics of strategic thinking. Then we'll learn to speak the language. We'll figure out how to analyze where you are, choose where to go next, and finally, we'll bring it all together with a powerful model that is perfect for exam success. So, are you ready to start thinking like a strategist? Let's jump in.
All right, first things first, let's lay the groundwork. What actually makes a decision strategic? You know, it's a word that gets thrown around a lot, but for us, it has a very specific meaning. And it's so important to be able to tell it apart from all the day-to-day operational stuff.
Strategic decisions, well, they're the big ones, the big bets. We're not talking about next week or next month. These are long-term moves that look years ahead. They're often uncertain, and they always require major resources. Just think about Tesla's huge investment in its gigafactories. That wasn't a quick decision. It was a massive company-wide move to secure their future for years and years to come. And it set the direction for everything else they did.
This slide just nails that difference, doesn't it? Think of it like this. Setting the ship's overall course, that's your strategic thinking. Deciding to sail to a whole new continent. But managing the engines day to day, like issuing a purchase order for fuel, that's purely operational. One sets the grand destination, the other handles the mechanics of the journey. For your CIPS studies, getting this distinction right is absolutely fundamental.
So now that we know what a strategic decision looks and feels like, let's learn how to talk about it. You know, to really think like a strategist, you need to have their toolkit, and you need to speak their language. So let's build that right now.
The brilliant Henry Mintzberg gives us these 5 incredible lenses for looking at strategy. See, it's not always just a formal plan written down somewhere. It can also be a clever ploy to get one up on a rival. Or it could be a pattern that you only see when you look back at past actions. It can be a deliberate position you take in the market, or, and this is a big one, a unique perspective, a way of seeing the world that's baked into your company's culture.
And that leads us perfectly to this next key term, strategic capability. This is all about what your organization does better than anyone else. It's your secret sauce, that special mix of resources and skills that your competitors just can't copy. This is the engine of your competitive advantage. Think Apple's obsession with design or Amazon's incredible mastery of logistics. And by the way, both of those rely heavily on world-class strategic procurement.
All right, we've got our toolkit ready to go. Now, the very first step on any strategic journey is a really honest diagnosis. You have to know where you are before you can figure out where you're going, right?
And the classic SWOT analysis is your best friend here. It's simple but so powerful. It forces you to map out your internal world, your strengths and weaknesses, and weigh them against the external world of opportunities and threats. Take a look at this Tesla example. Their innovative brand is a massive strength, but their struggles with scaling up production have been a weakness. At the same time, the growing EV market is a huge opportunity, but that intense competition, that's a constant threat.
Okay, so from that broad SWOT analysis, let's zoom in a bit and look at the competitive landscape itself. And for that, Michael Porter's 5 forces model is the perfect tool. For a company like Tesla, the rivalry from other car makers is a huge force to contend with. But listen, for you as a procurement professional, the bargaining power of suppliers is often the one you need to watch like a hawk. A really powerful supplier can squeeze your profits and call the shots, and that can change your entire strategic position.
So if Porter helps us understand the industry, Steeple forces us to zoom out even further, to look at the whole world. What's going on out there? Socially, that massive shift towards sustainability is a huge tailwind for a company like Tesla. But politically, things like global trade tensions can be a major threat. You got to see the whole board if you want to play the game well.
Okay, so our diagnosis is done. We know exactly where we stand. Now for the really exciting part, deciding where we're going to go. Let's check out 2 key models that help us create the blueprint for our next big move.
The NSOF matrix is just a fantastic tool for this. It neatly maps out the 4 main ways a business can grow. Think about Apple, for example. They used market penetration to dominate the phone market. Then they used product development to create things like the Apple Watch for that same market. They pursued market development by expanding into new countries, and they even went for diversification with services like Apple TV+. It's such an elegant way to map out your options, from the safest to the riskiest.
And then we have the Boston Consulting Group matrix. This is an awesome tool for managing a whole portfolio of products. You've got your stars, high-growth, high-share products like Tesla's cars that you pour investment into. Then you have your cash cows,
low growth but high share, which you can sort of milk for cash to fund your stars. The question marks, like Tesla's energy business, are those big strategic bets. Do we invest heavily to turn them into stars, or do we cut them loose? And finally, the dogs, low growth, low share, which you often get rid of. It's a pretty ruthless but really effective way to allocate your resources.
So let's bring this all home. Because let's be honest, a brilliant strategy that's just locked away in a PowerPoint deck is, well, it's completely useless. It's the execution, the action, that makes all the difference.
This is the part where the blueprint becomes reality. It's where the rubber meets the road. This is all about turning those big, grand ideas into actual, tangible results. And that means you have to allocate your money and your people, you have to manage all the changes that come with it, and you have to track your progress with clear, key performance indicators, or KPIs. Those are the numbers that tell you if your strategy is actually working or not.
Okay, now, this is the slide you really need to burn into your memory for the exam. The 6S model is your secret weapon. Seriously, think of it as a checklist for any strategy question you face. First, define the scope of the decision. Then, speak the language of strategy. Split the strategic from the operational. Spot your position using tools like SWOT. Select a path forward with ANSOF or BCG. And finally, describe the step into action. If you use this to structure your answers, you're going to cover all the key bases for learning outcome 1.
And please, always remember, as procurement and supply professionals, your role in this whole journey is absolutely central. From global sourcing to building powerful supplier partnerships, you are the people who make that big picture global strategy actually happen. So I'm going to leave you with that question. Take these models we've walked through and try applying them. Apply them to your own company or maybe a company you really admire. Because thinking like a strategist is the very first step to becoming one. Now go out there and start strategizing. Good luck with your studies.